Hello farmers, my name is Justice Chembela. I'm an agronomist and our mandate is to help you get a better crop.
Okay, so coming to the economics of the greenhouse, the power of the greenhouse. With the 300 square meter greenhouse, which costs about $3,600, does it really pay to invest into this technology?
Today I'm going to be discussing with you about tomato production, the maintenance, the crop nutrition and the crop protection for you to get a better crop. Let's take a closer look at the life cycle of the tomato plant. It will start off as seed, which will be transplanted. Then after transplanting, we'll go into the vegetative stage. After vegetative stage, the flowering stage, and finish off with the fruiting stage. At each stage of the life cycle, there are different fertilizers which a farmer needs to come in with. At transplanting, we recommend basal fertilizers to come in at transplanting because these fertilizers are immobile, so we would run them into the ground. When we are looking at basal fertilizers, there are fertilizers such as vegetable blend, tobacco blend, tobacco fat, compound C and compound S, which have low chlorine levels. Farmers can also come in with gypsum at transplanting, as gypsum is a source of calcium and sulfur. Calcium gives the advantage of reducing the physiological disorder of blossom end rot deficiency. More so, the movement of calcium is much slower, so therefore you would want to introduce it at an early stage of transplanting. When we move on to the vegetative stage of the tomato plant, we are encouraging vegetative growth. We want a vigorous crop because the number of leaves, that's our kitchen, that's our factory. That's when we are going to get enough food to supply to the fruit. So therefore we need to build up on the vegetative growth. So therefore we recommend the farmer to come in with foliar fertilizers that will enhance this vegetative growth. Foliar fertilizers such as Quick Start will help in promoting good root development, and foliar fertilizers such as Quick Grow will help with vegetative growth that will help boost the crop. When we look at flowering and fruiting, tomato has a different physiology as other crops. It will spend most of its time in the flowering and fruiting stage. So therefore, at flowering, we recommend fertilizers that are rich in potash that will promote flowering. Fertilizers such as Best Bloom will promote flowering, and an increase in flowering will promote also an increase in fruit that will translate to yield to the farmer. When we look at the fruiting stage, there are special top dressing fertilizers that we can come in with at 2 or 3 week intervals that will promote fruiting in the tomato crop. Fertilizers such as your potato super top or your potassium nitrate or your SOP sulfate of potash with AN will help promote fruiting. We also recommend the farmer to come in with calcium nitrate at 2 weeks or 3 weeks interval to help promote a good shelf life and also good quality, as the best quality would take a good price on the market. When we look at calcium nitrate, the farmer can come in with targeted foliar sprays targeting the fruit, as calcium is immobile. So we would need the calcium to come directly to the fruit. When also looking at some of the blunders that farmers make, it's at planting when they only plant on level ground. But we actually recommend our farmers to plant on ridges. Ridging is so important because it will help us with the water movement, especially when we look at the different type of soils. There are some soils that are waterlogging, and when it comes to the rainy season, you see that most soils, most water would want to accumulate at the roots, and this means that the roots won't be able to to carry out their processes because there's too much water that is accumulated at one place. So ridges will help us have free circulation of water and also help the roots function more easily, and this will also promote more root growth for our tomatoes. Ridging promotes loosening of the soil. Because these are horticultural crops, we promote that the soil should be of a fine tilth. Rakateteka, risina mavinga. This will help with the absorption of nutrients, and root growth also is promoted in these type of soils that have a fine tilth. So a fine tilth will always be recommended for tomato production, so as to give better crop nutrient uptake for the roots. Remember, it's the responsibility of the farmer to make it easy for the tomato crop to produce good fruit through practices such as ridging in the field. Then most importantly, when it comes to spraying and the use of chemicals, agrochemicals, it does not mean when fertilizer is 5 grams, that's the same thing as 5 grams of a chemical. We actually recommend our farmers to come in scales to have an exact measurement. The farmer has to be precise and pay attention to detail. Small detail such as weight of chemicals is important. These chemicals have different formulations and will also have different weights. We've got some that are powder and some that are liquid. When looking at powder chemicals, when it's 5 grams for chemicals, it's not the same 5 grams for your fertilizers. So we would recommend farmers to have a scale where they would measure the weight of their chemicals, then apply their chemicals with the correct weight. This will assist in effectiveness to have the correct dosage and also overcome the problem of resistance that happens with most agrochemicals if they are not used at the right dosage. When looking at chemicals that are in liquid formulations, we also recommend farmers they can also use their syringes so that it is exact and they have their full effectiveness, and this will safeguard their crop and also lead to good crop protection for their tomato crop. Type of spraying and type of nozzles that are used on a knapsack. There's also a special type of nozzle that is used, that is the holocon spray nozzle, which will help the farmer get their maximum effectiveness when it comes to spraying of their agrochemicals. Then last but not least, when they are harvesting, farmers tend to forsake their fertilizer program and also their spraying program. But it is at harvesting when we need the most food, because we are withdrawing from the crop, we are withdrawing fruits that's taking food from the soil, so we have to compensate that. So at harvesting, farmers should not stop with their fertigation program and also their spraying program.
So as a farm, we need to formulate also a policy in terms of when, how the pruning process is going to be taken. We also go to what we call flower pruning or flower thinning. We need to maintain as a farm which size of fruits we want, how many fruits we would want to maintain per cluster of fruit. As a principle, also you might want 1 kg per cluster. So if you've got a very big variety, you might achieve your 1 kg from 4 fruits, so you might not need the rest. So you might keep 6 flowers, so that if one drops off, you might remain with 5. If the other one drops off, definitely you remain with your 1 kg. Then how many clusters are we expecting per plant? If we manage about 15 clusters, that's you definitely attain your 15 kgs without much pressure. Then it also depends which type of market are you going to be targeting. Number one, are you going to be targeting the beggar market, which want a very big sized fruits, which could range about not less than 300 grams per fruit, like the one that I'm holding. It's around 300 grams. Or I'm also targeting the kitchen market, which wants to utilize the whole fruit in the pot once and for all. So it always depends which type of market as a policy that you are going to formulate as the farm. What we are simply saying is trikudama fruit sizes akaita sei. Tikada mahombe anoenda kuma beggars atotadza kurishandisa rese riri 1 tokunoda kushandisa riri 1. Saka it depends. Saka ndikaisa mafruits akawanda, fruit size inoita diki. Ndikasiya mafruits mashoma ndokuna kuwana very big, depending also nekuti variety yandachuza yacho inoita here zvatiri kuda izvozvo. The money from the farming is what matters. I might grow this, no one wants to buy it. I might grow this, everyone wants it. So it also depends the liking of the market. So a serious market research has to be done. What I've seen in the industry, a lot would want medium size, but if you go to the hotel industry, they want the big size fruits. The bigger market, they want some big sized fruits. That's on our bush management. Then we also have what we call leaf pruning. There are not all leaves that are on the plant that are necessary. Number one, if we over prune, there are also disadvantages that comes with over pruning of the plant. We might have a problem that we call green shouldering. Green shouldering, we don't have a uniformity in terms of the ripening of the fruit. You might have some green patches on your fruit. Then you might also have some red patches on the same fruit. That means there's unevenness in terms of its ripening, which is brought about by exposing part of the plant to direct light. So we would also not want such a scenario. We want an even ripening on our fruits. So there are different types of pruning that we might do. You might alternate your leaves. You might have 2 leaves, one on top of the cluster, another one below the cluster. The excess ones are removed. Some might say, because I've already achieved the maturity of my fruits, I remove everything that are every leaves, all the leaves that are actually surrounding the matured fruits. That's another technique that some of the farmers might want to implement. But your pruning principles is key in terms of your production of your tomatoes. Why? Remember, we've said if you have got excess foliage, you have a lot of nutrients that you are putting in there. They are going to the leaf when we want the tomato, the fruit itself. So we might not want. Then we might not want a lot of foliage that is going to consume a lot of nutrients for us. We want the nutrients to be where they are supposed to be. Then another principle that we might want to apply is to support our plants with pollination.
Because our greenhouse is a closed environment, we don't have assistance from bees or any other pests that help us in pollinating our flowers. So we need to do that manually. And how do we do that? We tap the trellising twine and the trellising wire and shake the plants so that we encourage pollination. And we need to do that early hours of the morning or later hours of the day. In bigger greenhouses, some would actually use a mist blower to just blow and shake the plants so that we encourage pollination. If we have good pollination, we also have big fruits. Sometimes if your fruits are not growing to size, chances are that you don't have enough pollination. And it's amazing what pollination can do to the size of your fruits.
This will also ensure that you don't have deformed fruits. You have uniform sized fruits.
What are the pests that attack tomato during the vegetative stage? They are aphids. Aphids will cause curling of the leaves, and aphids will transmit a lot of viruses. Farmers can come in with remedies such as dimethowate or Actara to safeguard against aphids. There are also whiteflies that attack tomatoes. When you see 2 or 3 whiteflies with your naked eyes, there are millions that you can't see, and this initiates control measures, as whitefly have an indirect effect of transmitting viruses. Farmers can come in with remedies such as Actara or Thunder. When looking at tuta is a menace as it affects the leaves through mining. The flowers can also abort, the fruits can also be disrupted by tuta, and tuta can also lead to complete crop failure. We recommend farmers to come in with the remedies, with chemicals, with different modes of action to help control against tuta absoluta. We have remedies such as the tuta pack, which contain chemicals with different modes of action. For example, in the tuta pack, there is Spike Extra. Spike Extra is a systemic and contact. That means when tuta is in its advanced stages, the farmer can come in with Spike Extra, which is a systemic and can also get into places where a contact cannot get into. More so, this insecticide affects all life cycle of the tuta absoluta. Therefore, it means the egg, the larva, and even the adult moth is also controlled. When looking at cytomazine, another component in the tuta peg, it is a growth regulant. That means when an adult moth has eggs, it will help disrupt the eggs from hatching, therefore reducing the population levels. When looking at Indoxa, it has a stomach action. It will help disrupt feeding within 2 to 8 hours. Therefore, when looking for remedies against tuta absolutas, farmers should know the mode of action and also whether the insecticide is a systemic, a contact, or a translaminar. This will assist. When it comes to a translaminar, it means it has to go in between the leaf. Therefore, when spraying, the farmer has to ensure that the spraying is a full cover spray so that the chemical is effective. There is also a threat to tomato, which is red spider mite. Red spider mite will increase its infestation when it's hot. When it's hot, the levels of infestation are high. The farmer can come in with remedies such as your Spike Extra, your Abamectin, your dimethoid, and rotation is of the importance so that to reduce the harmful effects of chemical resistance. The tomato crop is affected by a number of diseases, and the severity and incidence of diseases will increase when it's rainy season. So the farmer has to brace up, has to come in with a spraying program that will safeguard the tomato crop and protect it from diseases. There are different types of diseases that affect the tomato crop. There are diseases that can be caused by bacterial pathogens. These ones are difficult to control, but the farmer can prevent with fungicides such as copper oxychloride, and the farmer can come in with Bion, which is a plant activator that will boost the immune system of the crop and help prevent against the bacterial pathogens. Viruses are most difficult to control, and one of the ways to prevent from viruses is to deal with the vectors such as your aphids and your whiteflies. Fungal pathogens are a threat to tomato production, and they can lead to complete crop failure. There is early blight and late blight. These are caused by two different pathogens. Early blight is caused by Alternaria solani and will affect the lower leaves. You will see symptoms as your brown spots surrounded by yellow concentric rings. Whereas your late blight will see symptoms of blackening of stems and leaves, and this is caused by Phytophthora infestans, which is a fungal pathogen. Control measures are important in the spraying program of the farmer. The farmer has to come in with both preventive sprays for fungicides and curative sprays for fungicides. There are different preventive sprays that are available, such as your copper oxychloride, your Mancozeb. These preventive sprays have an advantage that they are contacts, which means that they are not prone to resistance. The farmer can come in with these preventive sprays at regular intervals. More so, for tomato farmers who are on the open field, we recommend them to have a rain gauge, so as when it rains and they receive rainfall above 42 millimeters, they can come in with protective sprays of copper oxychloride to help safeguard against disease spread in the field. When it comes to curatives, there are different curatives that address fungal pathogens. We have curatives such as your Metalman, which is a combination of your Mancozeb and Metalaxyl, your Deleta, which is a combination of your azoxystrobin, and also your difenoconazole. When it comes to tomatoes, there are some practices that we recommend. For our indeterminate varieties that are grown in the greenhouse, we recommend desuckering and pruning. This is a sucker, this is the stem, and this is the branch. A sucker develops between the main stem and the branch. Desuckering will help prevent the loss that goes into the suckers, and this food that goes into the suckers will now then be directed to the leaves and then in turn to the fruit, which will benefit the tomato crop and produce a much higher yield. We also recommend the farmer to observe hygiene of the highest level. Hygiene will also help prevent diseases from attacking the pests. The farmer can have a foot bath that contains copper oxychloride, formalin or jig to help prevent entry of any pathogens, be it to the tomato crop. We also recommend the farmer to start spraying a much younger crop as compared to an older crop if they have both. More so, when a farmer is spraying, they have to observe if the crop that they are spraying is affected. If it's affected, they have to start with the affected crop before going to a crop that is not affected. And this will help prevent the spread of your diseases and also pests.
Coming to the economics of the greenhouse, the power of the greenhouse. With the 300 square meter greenhouse, which costs about $3,600, does it really pay to invest into this technology? Let's do the math together, then we probably see what it takes. 3,600, the investment cost you need to put up the structure with the drip irrigation system, except the water storage, which means probably your 5,000 liter tank would suffice. Then that particular structure can have a carrying capacity of 1,000 plants of tomatoes. Doing our calculation, you see those the operational cost for that particular greenhouse with 1,000 plants, you would need something like $1,200 to operate it, for your chemicals, for your fertilizers, for your fungicides, for your insecticides, for your holding crates. That's a total of $1,200. Then what's the expected return on it? With each plant giving me 15 kgs of fruit, that's about $15, with a market price of around 50 cents, an average price over the 9 months period, which will be around 50 cents. That means you can get something like $7.50 per plant. So if we say our 3,600 that we invested in the structure, operating expenditure, which is 1,200, that means our investment in this project would be $4,800. Then our return per plant, that's $7.50 times 1,000 plants, which is $7,500. That means you can have an extra of about $2,000 profit from your first crop that you would have done. Let's also simulate these figures probably per hectare. That's per hectare. Now we have 33,333 plants. Multiplied by the 15 kgs per plant. That is our potential yield. That's you would get to about 500 tons. As a country with 4 farmers producing at such levels, there's no need for us to be importing any tomato in the country. The onus is upon us as Zimbabweans to take the initiative to do these structures, probably a 1 hectare, or you stagger them, probably 2,500 square meters each. But the potential that it has, with 500 tons of tomatoes per hectare that you have at the same price, let's say we go for 30 cents, that means you could yield something like $150,000 over an investment of like $75,000. That means 100% return in your first cropping cycle. So that's the power in terms of, and Zimbabwe definitely can be tomato sufficient, and we could also have some excess for export. And I think it's a good initiative from my point of view. I don't know what you think, but that's how you think. And probably if we have a glut, we do a value addition, probably have some exports, and probably earn more from that. That's my take. Thank you for that.